As professional interpreters in healthcare, we have a huge responsibility with all of the parties to whom we provide service because of the sensitive nature of the job. So today I will be reviewing the Code of Ethics for Interpreters in Healthcare from the National Council on Interpreting in Healthcare.
Tune in as Interpret Your World's co-founder, Juan Prieto, talks about the highlights of his workday as a professional medical video remote interpreter. If you are aspiring to learn something new and gain insight into what the world of medical interpretation is really like, then you've come to the right place. Follow along as Juan talks not only about his success, but the daily challenges he has to overcome to become a better interpreter each and every day. This is Unwind Sessions with Juan Prieto.
So hello guys, today is Thursday, October 7, 2021, and good morning Alejandro. Today is the day where the magic happens. Why? Because we cannot physically live elsewhere, right? Not yesterday, not tomorrow. Today is where we live. Today is where we strive. Today is where we accomplish and where we celebrate. So celebrate today and let that magic happen today because it cannot happen any other day. All right, so let's get it. We are going to start this very magical day and this very magical session. So today I took a total of 36 sessions, 3 of which were audio. Today was a pretty easy day. There was a highlight, something funny, but I forgot to write it down. I'm sorry. But there was just that one highlight. Everything else today was pretty easy, pretty smooth sailing. And I don't even remember what it was, but I remember it was something funny. And I remember I got to share it with the guys. But I completely forgot to write it down, and I don't even remember what it was now. Hopefully I'll remember, and then I'll let you know mid-video if I can. But yeah, I mean, no highlights today, so let's get right into the commercials, right? So remember that we are posting vocabulary practice videos on TikTok, on Kawaii, YouTube Shorts, on Instagram, which we cross-post to Facebook. So that is five platforms that you could practice your vocabulary with us. Every day we have a new word on each platform, English and Spanish, for you to give us the translation for the word. And now we are going to be integrating the word and the definition. That way you can get the most of your practice. Of course, we're going to differentiate between the videos that will give you the definition, English and Spanish, and the videos that will give you the definition, well, not the definition, the translation. All right, so more great stuff for you to work with. And what else can I say? I mean, let's do it. Hopefully today I'm gonna get that. I need to get that process started, so expect that today, at least a pilot video, and then we're hopefully gonna integrate the rest of the team. You're gonna see a lot of new faces. You're gonna get to meet the whole Interpret Your World team, hopefully, on those videos. So awesome stuff. All right, and also remember that we are accepting comments for MIP 21, and when that video reaches 100 likes, we're gonna pick 2 comments at random. Whoever those comments belong to, we're gonna send them exclusive links to MIP 22. That way they can record their interpretation, send them over to us, and we can provide them with some really lovely feedback that will either boost their confidence or will set them on the right path to becoming better interpreters. All right. And 2 more things. Remember that we have a Patreon page for with as little as $1 of your support. You help to motivate us to create much more content, and we give you access to everything on that page. All of the medical videos ad-free, scripts in case you don't understand what the voice actors say, answer sheets so you can record yourself and look at the answer sheet so They serve as a guide to so you can gauge how well you're actually doing it, and vocabulary list so you can ace all of those interpreting sessions, right? And much more content coming your way. One last thing: do you have 2 years of medical interpretation experience, live in the United States, Mexico, or Costa Rica, and are looking for employment in VRI or OPI? Go ahead and send us an email, interpretyourworld@gmail.com, link in the description, for the chance to give you information for the company that I work for, that I am employed in, so you can start a new job. I mean, it's an awesome company. The best company that I worked for in Mexico, hands down. All right, and that is it for the commercials. Let's get right into the main course of the evening. All right, so today we're gonna be talking about ethics, and I'm going to be reading the national. What was that? I forgot to copy that. And I closed it. So I'm gonna be giving you the code of ethics from the National Council of Interpreting in Healthcare. All right. So I'm just gonna read you what they have printed in there, and I'm going to give you like a little brief explanation. Hopefully, the explanation that I give you will aid you in remembering the code of ethics in a much easier manner, right? So that's why I'm gonna do it. And so I'm just gonna read one, and I'm just gonna explain the other. But before we can begin, what are ethics, right? We need to define ethics. We need to put ethics in perspective in case some of us are not familiar with what it is. I am very familiar with what ethics is because I think last year in college I took an ethics class, which I received the lowest grade that I've ever received in my whole career in college, which was like a 75, I believe. That was a C, like the lowest grade I've ever received. I've had another 78, and then I've had B's, and the rest are C's, I think. And I'm bragging. I'm really bragging. I think that my average is 96, so it's a big A. So, ooh, yay for me. But yeah, ethics I didn't do so well. It's boring. It's boring, but it's important, right? So you could say I have a college course on ethics. So I am just the man to give you this course, this lesson today. So ethics, and this is my own definition. Of course, I did a little bit of digging just to make sure that I was correct, and this is the definition that stayed in my mind from that ethics class. All right. So ethics are a set of principles that govern our individual behavior with the goal of preserving life and well-being. All right, that's my definition. That's what this brain thinks ethics is. All right, and from that class, that's what I could get out of it. All right, so one thing about ethics is that every culture will have their own principles, but we can generally agree on what are some of the principles of ethics, right? And this is just going to be a quick example. Like, for example, we can all agree that a generous person is better than a greedy person, right? So an ethic principle is generosity. Why? Because if we compare a generous person from a greedy person, which person do you think has a goal in mind for well-being and preservation of life? This man who shares all of his stuff, or this man who doesn't share anything? Right? This man. All right, so that's why we do it, and that's why I obtained that definition, and that's what I think ethic means to me. All right, another example. Let's say we have an honest man and we have a man who is deceptive, a Decepticon. All right, so we have Transformers on this side, very honest Transformers, and we have very deceptive Decepticons. All right, hopefully you understand my Transformers. Who doesn't, right? There was like some box office movies, so if you don't, it's an 80s cartoon and very, very famous movie. All right, so who do you think is better? Who would you say is ethical? This man, Decepticon, Optimus Prime. Of course, this one, right? Okay, one more example, and then I'm just gonna dive right into the code of ethics. So we have a responsible man and an irresponsible man. So which of the two do you think is an ethics principle, right? Responsible, right? Because a responsible person, you would think that they have well-being and preservation of life in mind, right? But an irresponsible person, of course not. Of course not. So that is my definition of ethics. So ethics is the individual behavior, your individual behavior, with the principles that govern your individual behavior with the goal of preserving life and well-being. All right, not to be confused with moral, because moral is the principles that govern our behavior as a society. That way we can preserve the life and well-being of a society, so that society can function. That's morals, plural. And ethics are singular. That's just to you. Ethics apply to the single person, not to the society. Of course, everyone individually has their own ethics, and then we get those ethics and we apply them as morals, and then we can live together in society, right? Because we're all trying to preserve life, and we are all trying to preserve well-being, right? Hopefully. I know that not all of us are, but hopefully we're all trying for that goal. All right, and now let's get started with the National Counseling of Interpreting Healthcare Code of Ethics. So the Code of Ethic number 1, I'm not gonna name them, not number them, because they don't have a number here, but the first one says, the interpreter treats as confidential within the treating team all information learned in the performance of their professional duties, while observing relevant requirements regarding disclosure. All right, so this means that everything that is discussed while you are working as an interpreter, everything that goes into these ears and gets recorded in this brain, all of that stuff is confidential. You have no business of talking about that outside of your work, right? Or even outside of that session. Once that session is over and you go to another patient, that should be completely destroyed and erased from your mind. All right. However, there are some exceptions. For example, we have HIPAA, privacy practice. So on those, the HIPAA and I'm gonna make a video about HIPAA probably tomorrow or next week, I don't know. But HIPAA tells us that it's okay to share information from those sessions as long as the people that we share the information with are not identifiable. That way we cannot say their names, address, nothing that will make someone identify who you're talking about, right? Because of course it's like we're not even there, we're not even supposed to be there, so we cannot say anything that will identify a patient. We can talk about things that happen, you know, and we can talk about, for example, mistakes that we made, mistakes that the provider made, tough times that the clients gave us, the LEPs, and all of that stuff. Always remember to not include any identifying information, race, address, nationality, city, all of that. None of that, right? Not even the hospital, or yeah, I guess the hospital is broad enough, right? Um, I'll have to check on that. But yeah, everything that goes in there. We deal with credit cards, payments, lots of sensitive information that if this were to fall into the wrong hands, that could create devastating effects for the people involved, right? So let's refrain from sharing personal identifiable information, all right? And the next one says the interpreter strives to render the message accurately, conveying the content and spirit of the original message, taking into consideration its cultural context. All right, so that means whenever we interpret, we need to make sure that we are giving a complete rendition and an accurate rendition, and that we are expressing the voice of the speaker, because that's what we are. We are the voice of the speaker that we are taking into another language, and we must represent it accordingly, with culture and everything as accurately and as best as our ability will allow us to, right? But always making sure that it's a complete and accurate rendition, all right? And I mean, it's easy to imagine why that is, right? If you give incomplete information, then you're not giving the complete message, right? You're not being faithful to the message because you're missing some stuff, and the doctor might not hear or might need that stuff, right? And then if you don't say it, maybe the doctor will ask it later, and you just added a question that a doctor didn't need to ask because you didn't do a good job. If you don't do it accurately, then the doctor might have to ask more questions, right, to be able to get the answer that he's looking for, right? So just do your best and make sure that everything before you open your mouth to give a rendition, make sure that you're gonna give the complete rendition, all right? And that you're culturally sensitive to make sure you're the voice of the person that you're representing. All right, let's move on to the next one. The next one says the interpreter strives to maintain impartiality and refrains from counseling, advising, or projecting personal biases or beliefs. All right, this is a big one. We pretty much have to be senseless. We have to be numb. We have to be a computer or robot, like they name us sometimes, right? We have to be there impartially, right? Because one of the main things is that we are just there to interpret, right? That's our job. We're not judges. We're not. We shouldn't really care about what the other person is doing, because that's their life. That's their own life, and they have the freedom, right, to actually live out whatever they want to do, whether it's abortion, whether it's gender identification, whatever, all of that stuff we must respect, and we must be impartial and not let our feelings get the most of us, right? For example, if we're against abortion, right, very against abortion, and we have a session with an abortion clinic, we're not gonna get mad at the person for aborting, right? We might not agree with it, but we're gonna provide them with the best service possible because it's our job, and we are just there to be this vehicle, right, that delivers communication between one party to another that otherwise would be impossible, and that's it. That's it. And I would say that as an interpreter, if you don't like an assignment or something, opt out of it if you can, but know that there are going to be sessions that or assignments that are going to be uncomfortable. There's going to be sessions and assignments that are going to be uncomfortable, and just do your best, be impartial, and don't judge everyone, and just do your job, which is to aid in the communication of both parties, right? That's it. Don't share anything with them. Uh, and I like, I had like a burst of of the highlight, and it just left me. Crazy. But yeah, I saw it clearly in my mind, and then it just vanished because it was something like that. Yes, okay, I think I remember it was, this was another thing. And I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off but this is relevant to this because, for example, in our company, they tell us that not to speak to patients without medical personnel present, right? Why? Because of the legalities of that, right? If you make a mistake or you talk about something and you make a mistake and then the patient says something, I mean, you could get the doctor, the hospital in trouble, right? And one of the things that happened today is just that um, a patient, uh, I was with no, I was with a medical assistant, and then the medical assistant said if I wanted to be turned around so I wouldn't look at the patient for patient privacy, or it was okay to leave me there. And I said, well, I don't care. It's company policy that you turn us to a wall, but I mean, it's up to you. And then she said, all right, I'm just going to leave you facing the patient. And I said, okay. And in my mind, I was thinking, I just hope the patient doesn't speak to me, right? And because I hate it. I hate it. I hate small talk. And when they start talking to me, what I tell them is like, I'm sorry, but due to company policy, I am not allowed to speak unless there is a medical provider present, right? And that's it. And they usually get the clue or they ask me stuff. But yeah, I was hoping in my mind, I was like, just make sure he doesn't he doesn't talk. He doesn't talk to me, right? All right. These are quite a few. Where is the next one? All right, here it is. The interpreter strives to maintain. Oh no, I already did that one. The interpreter maintains the boundaries of the professional role, refraining from personal involvement. And yes, this is a big one, a big one. And there was a question about this in one of the forums, one of the interpreter forum, or not interpreter groups in Facebook, and they were talking about this because as interpreters, you're only interpreting. You are not supposed to help. You're not even supposed to touch the patient, because if you touch the patient and something happens to the patient, you can get sued. Of course, that is more in-person interpreting. Of course, I'm not gonna be able to touch a patient. But like yesterday, the lady was scared because she thought the robot, the device that I was on, was gonna hit her. But I think this is personal involvement, physical personal involvement, like helping a patient get up, or even helping a patient if he's gonna fall down. Like if you help him, you could get into a lot of trouble if something bad happens to the patient. So it's hard to do. And of course, sometimes whenever it's a tough session, bad things going on in the session, and the patient speaks to me brokenhearted, I'm sorry, but it's hard. It's hard not to get involved, and I just try to comfort them, like, yeah, I'm very sorry that this is happening to you, but I mean, you gotta have hope, stuff like that. And I know it's bad that I do it because I'm not adhering to the code of ethics, but I'm not heartless, So just do it as much as you can, and try not to give personal things, or things that could affect the person's life, right? For example, not specific directions or anything, right? Just like very vague stuff. Try to keep it like that. But the best thing is to not get involved. All right, the next one says the interpreter continuously strives to develop awareness of his or her own and other, including biomedical cultures encountered in the performance of their professional duties. And yes, this is awesome, because if you understand the cultures, it'll be easier to interpret. It'll be easier when translating. For example, one thing that's difficult for me, humor. But if you understand both cultures very well. The joke in Spanish, if you translate it in English, will not work, but maybe you can think of something similar that will get a laugh from the English, that it means the same thing, right? Maybe it's not the same words, not the same joke, but the meaning is the same. And if you understand the cultures, you will do that very, very good. I struggle a lot on that, but sometimes I've been doing a good job. But that I would say that is one of the bad. That would be like my Achilles heel. Humor. It's hard. And I don't know why. Maybe I don't understand that. Well, I do, but it's just different types of humor, Mexican humor and American humor, very different. Very lots of similarities, right? But very different. Uh, all right, so we gotta make sure that we are aware of our own and everybody else's culture that we serve. The interpreter treats all parties with respect. I mean, this is a no-brainer, right? I don't think this needs an explanation, but I'm gonna give one just in case to be thorough. Uh, Make sure that you treat all parties like you would want to be treated. Treat them with all the respect, even if you think that they are way below average and they are giving you a headache, with way below average intelligence or way below average education or whatever the case might be. Even that, you need to treat them with respect. You need to treat them like if they were you. The doctors are in a hurry, the patients are in pain, or they are in trouble. So let's give everyone the respect that they deserve. Let's treat everyone with respect, the respect that we hope to get from them, right? And even if they're disrespectful, you have to go in with a mindset that doctors have a lot of responsibilities in their shoulders. And I mean, can you imagine having the responsibility of life and well-being of patients on your hands? I mean, that must be like holding the world, right? So let's treat them with respect. And the LEPs, I mean, they're not there because they're happy. They're not there because they have a joyful life, right? They're there because there's a problem and they want to get it fixed, and it's a problem with their person, right? It's not something separate from them, right? It's their own body, their own being. So let's treat everyone with respect, even if we don't get it, right? Let's be gentlemen, let's be ladies, let's show them how to do it. If you want to beat them up after in the parking lot because they disrespect you, I'm not gonna say anything if you're off duty, right? But no, this is ethics, so we need to be ethical. That was just a joke, right? Don't ever wait for nobody in the parking lot to beat them up or call them out, right? Oh, you were disrespecting me. Let's see now, doctor. I could just imagine you guys. All right, because I would never do that. When the patient's health, well-being, or dignity is at risk, the interpreter may be justified in acting as an advocate. Advocacy is understood as an action taken on behalf of an individual that goes beyond facilitating communication with the intention of supporting good health outcomes. Advocacy must only be undertaken after careful thought and analysis of the situation, and if other less intrusive actions have not resolved the problem. This is a big gray area, because of course everything is different. Every situation is different, so you cannot put this in writing, like when to be an advocate, when not to be an advocate. As a rule of thumb, never be an advocate, never, unless the patient's life is at risk. Like if it's life or death or harm to the patient, then be an advocate. Definitely be an advocate, be ethic, be professional, and try to solve that problem by any other means. Um, One time I had a doctor that, no, it was not a doctor, it was a nurse practitioner, and she was bad. She was horrible. She was horrible. Like, honestly, I like, oh, it just, I don't know how to describe it. So much anger, and but of course it was not my place to put her in place, right? But like, she didn't let the patient answer. Like, the patient would say something, and then as I was about to interpret, she would cut me off, and then she would just say something completely different, and then she would tell me to ask that, and then of course I asked that, and then she would go back. So like, nothing happened in this thing because the lady was not hearing the patient at all. And the of course the patient was very, very upset, and I got out of the interpreter role, and at the end I told the lady, you know what, the LEP, I told her, you know what, I am very sorry that this is going on, that this is happening, this lady is not hearing you, that lady is not hearing your problem. I would say go ahead and complain with the management, because this is not right. And then the lady said, yeah, I mean, she was just speaking directly to me, and then she left out of the room, and then she said, what'd you tell them? What'd you tell her? And then I told her, oh no, ma'am, she said she was upset because you were not listening to her, and she's going to complain with management. And then she said, oh, okay, but you saw, right? You saw that I was doing a good job and all that stuff. And I was like, ma'am, I'm very sorry, but I saw that you were not doing a good job. And then she got mad and she just hung up. Boom. So that was my advocacy. I didn't know how to handle it. And then, of course, after that session, I talked to my manager. I told her what had happened, and I filed a report. And I don't know what happened after that. Hopefully, this lady got put into her place because she was not doing her job. And that's the only time that I've been an advocate for a patient. But of course, tell the nurse, I didn't want to tell her, hey, you're not listening to the patient. Listen to the patient, right? Because I felt like it was not my place to actually do it. And I felt like if I would have told her that, she would have just did what she did, right? Disconnect me, and the patient would have just, I don't know, she wouldn't have gotten what she deserved. She deserved good treatment. All right. So by me telling the patient to go and complain, I think that was my advocacy, and I didn't even have to speak to the nurse, which I think I handled it well. I don't know. Rate, how do you think I did? In the comments, tell me if I did good or bad. What do you think? Personal opinions. All right, so don't be an advocate. Stay away from that unless the patient's well-being or life are at stake. All right, I know that in this case, the patient's life was not at risk, but their well-being was, because they were not treated right and they were not getting health care. Did I judge it right? I don't know. That was my call. I did it. Judge me. Did I do it right? Did I do it wrong? How would you have done it better? Let's start a discussion, if we could, in the comments. All right, and just 2 more to go. The interpreter strives to continually further his or her knowledge and skills. All right, I mean, this is a no-brainer, right? We always have to continue to be better skills, better knowledge, better service, right? And easier work for us, right? That's why I'm doing the unwind sessions, right? That way I don't say and and that way I don't get stuck speaking, right? I think I'm doing a very good job with all of this session so far. If you see the first video, so yeah, I'm doing unwind sessions so that I can become a better public speaker. That's number 1. Number 2 is to increase my knowledge, right? If I am exposed to everything that I have to teach you guys, then I'm learning it more because I'm learning it in a way that I have to explain it. So that means I'm really learning it, not just skimming through it. All right. And number 3 is, of course, to bring that to you. bring that to the world and to raise the bar on interpreting. Because if we're not raising the bar on interpreting, what are we doing, right? Everything just needs to be better and better and better and better. Of course, when we do that, the learning curve gets steeper, right? And but it's all right. It's all right. It's about time that interpreting gets a very steep curve, right? And why do I think that's good? Because we're gonna be the best interpreters, man. The generation of interpreters that have my education, I hope that is like interpreters that have a much higher bar. They set the bar high, all right? And of course, I'm improving myself and I'm helping you improve. So, hey, I'm doing my part with that, and so are you. You're looking at these videos. All right, and for the last one, it says the interpreter must at all times act in a professional and ethical manner. Yes, I think the whole discussion of this video and of the code of ethics has explained to us why it is that we must behave in this sense, right? We're doing a job, a sensitive job, sensitive information, people with a lot of responsibilities, people in problems. So I mean, that requires professionalism and ethicism at the core, right? If you're not professional and if you're not ethic, you're not gonna be there long. They're just gonna tell you, you know what, I don't think you're cut out for this job. The door's that way. All right, so hopefully everyone that's watching this video has no problem with ethics, and remember that I strive to teach you how to think for yourself. I don't give you the answer. Well, I do, right? But I explain them to you and I give you the information, but remember that all of the information that I give you, you have to judge it, you have to investigate on your own. I'm only giving you the tip of the iceberg. Is on you to actually reach the vast knowledge that is out there. All right, so hopefully this video will help some of you or all of you to be better ethical professional interpreters. All right, so that's going to be it for me today. Please leave your questions on the comments and I will answer some of them on the next session. If anything is time sensitive, let me know and I'll get to it before the rest of the queue. I'll be here every Monday through Friday after work, rain, sleet, hail, snow. And a big old shout out, a lot of love to all of our Patreons, a lot of love to everyone that has bought us a coffee, a lot of love to all of our subscribers, and a lot of love to all of our viewers, and a lot of love to you that is watching the end of this video. So thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe the video if you have not done so for much more content, and don't forget to share. So have yourself a great rest of your day and happy interpreting. Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Unwind Sessions. Make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows. And if you learned something new today, it'd be great if you left us a review. You can also visit us on patreon.com/interpretyourworld or visit our website, interpretyourworld.com. Unwind Sessions.
If you like this video, don't forget to smash that like button. Also, share this video with other beginner interpreters or anyone who can benefit from this information. Thank you all so much for all the support you guys have given us. This means the world to us. Don't forget, we also have social media. We have a Facebook group and a Facebook page. We also have an Instagram and the one I love the most, TikTok. We just recently got a Buy Me a Coffee, and also, if you guys didn't already know, we do have a Patreon account. If you guys would like to support us a little more, we'd love to have you guys over there. And as always, I will be posting all the links to these pages down below in the description box. Thanks for watching!